We're here in the batch booth with Mike Hooker, one of my best coaters, and what he's going to do today is we're going to go ahead and paint this head off this Harley Davidson motorcycle with a PPG silver, which is a V-Rod silver, and hopefully it'll turn out as good as what the Harley Davidson products do. What's neat about the powder coating, it is electrostatic, so what we do, we actually ground the part and then charge the paint particles as it goes through the air. And the neat thing about powder coating is it will go back into the nooks and crannies, such as Mike's demonstrated right there on this, on the head. We typically will apply the powder coating at 2 to 3 mils, and then it will go into a cure oven and be baked for 20 minutes, approximately 375 degrees. Now that we have the heads in the oven being cured, we're going to go ahead and start working on the frame. It's also going to get the PPG silver V-Rod coating on it. One neat thing about the powder coating process is what we call wrap. When we powder coat something, unlike wet paint, we are actually charging the particles negatively and grounding the part. And as you notice, as he paints, the powder's actually even going all the way back on the back side where he's not even aiming the gun. That's what we call wrap, and that's what makes powder coating so user-friendly when you're painting any type of tubing, such as a motorcycle frame or anything else, race car chassis and such. Mike's been doing this for several years and has gotten pretty good at it, so he knows exactly where to aim the gun to make his life a lot easier and to get a really nice product at the end.
Wet spray painting tubing is a painter's nightmare as it tends to haze out or run because it is so hard to keep all sides of the tubing wet so it can dry uniformly. With powder coating, we do not have to worry about hazing overspray as the powder does not flow out until it is in the oven, resulting in a perfect haze-free, run-free product.
Now we'll let it bake in the oven for about 375 degrees for about 20 minutes. As it's doing that, we're going to go ahead and do a quick color change and go into a fire dormant red to do the tanks and the fenders. So we'll go ahead and get that going, and we'll see you in just a minute. On the tanks and fenders, we decided to try a new product called a Dormant Fire Red. And the way this powder works, it's a two-step product, very similar to a wet paint process where you put a base coat down first, and then you'll put a top coat over top of it. And what happens with the top coat clear, it will really bring out the metallics and make it look very deep, as if you put 5 or 6 coats of a typical liquid coating on the part. All right, now that Mike's got it coated with the first coat of the Dormant Red, we're ready to go ahead and cure it. We will cure it about 80% of the way. That way, when we put the clear coat over top of it, the two powders will actually melt and bond together to give one uniform coating that will look like it's a ½ inch thick. No, your eyes are not playing tricks on you. This is actually red. This is the Dormant Red that we talked about, and you will not actually see the red pigments come out until Mike puts his little magic dust on it that will actually refract the light differently and causing it to become a very candy apple red color. Now that we've got a nice even coat of clear coat powder on top of the Dormant Red, we're going to go ahead back into the cure oven for another 20 minutes, thus bonding both materials together, and then we'll get to see some terrific results. I told you it was going to be red, and that wraps up this segment of Metal Rehab from Aesthetic Finishers in Piqua, Ohio. Now we'll be right back at the Cycle Shack where we actually start to put this beautiful bike together. Stay tuned and we'll see you then. Now that we have all the parts stripped and powder coated, we've taken a short trip down to Medway, Ohio to the Cycle Shack. let's go on inside and see how they're coming along with the assembly of the bike. Wow, Jim, has this come a long way since you dropped it off at Aesthetics a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it has, hasn't it? It's been going real good.
How's the assembly going now that we've got everything powder coated? Is it holding up the way I said it would?
Yeah, it sure has. It's taken the abuse of assembly, and I don't know who you got up there that's prepping these things, but you know, all the threaded parts have been plugged. We haven't had any problem with having to get paint out of threads or anything like that.
So no retapping?
No.
Well, that's good. Well, we'll have to give Greg prompts on that. He has been doing this for a few years. But I do notice how you've mixed the chrome with the powder coating. It really does give a really nice contrast. I think your customer's going to be really happy with this when it's done.
Yeah, I do too. It's turned out real well, especially the motor. As far as the prep work, Mike, when he was putting it together, he said whoever was prepping it really knew what they was doing, because sometimes when you get them back, your surfaces that are not supposed to have paint have it. The ones that are supposed to don't.
So you're saying all the gaskets are going to fit nice and tight, so we're not going to have any leaks on the kitchen floor when he parks it in his kitchen?
Exactly.
All right. Well, it's looking really good. Why don't I just get out of your way so you guys can go ahead and get the fender on it and the tank and wrap things up.
Sounds good.
All right. All right, Jim, man, this bike looks good. Is there anything else that we could do to it to set it off before we take it over to the Columbus show?
Still need the Super Trap exhaust.
Oh, I talked to them today, and they've assured me that the brand new Paul Yaffe Phantom pipes are going to be on the way just in time to get it on the bike for the show.
Great. I want a day or two to take this thing out, test ride it, smoke that back tire.
Is that called shaking it down?
Uh-huh.
All right, well, stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back at the Easy Riders Show in Columbus, Ohio for the actual reveal of the bike.